Picture two crystal tumblers sitting side by side on a polished mahogany bar, both filled with a liquid as clear and shimmering as mountain spring water. To the uninitiated eye, they are identical twins, indistinguishable in their transparency and fluidity, promising the same crisp refreshment. Yet, to lift one glass is to prepare for a completely different sensory journey than lifting the other. One promises a whisper, a subtle warmth that seeks to blend in and disappear, while the other promises a shout, a complex botanical explosion that demands your full attention. We are talking, of course, about the two giants of the clear spirit world, vodka and gin. While they share a shelf and often share a cocktail glass, their relationship is less like identical twins and more like distant cousins who speak different languages. They diverge wildly in their history, their chemistry, their production methods, and the very philosophy behind their existence. To understand the real difference is to understand the history of distillation itself, a story that spans from the freezing steppes of Russia to the apothecaries of the Netherlands. Today, we are going to peel back the label and uncap the truth about these two iconic spirits, exploring why your choice of clear liquor changes everything about your drinking experience. Vodka is frequently misunderstood as being boring or overly simple, a reputation that stems from its very definition, but this characterization misses the incredible engineering required to achieve such simplicity. By legal and traditional standards, vodka is a spirit distilled to be without distinctive character, aroma, taste, or color. It is the pursuit of chemical perfection, an attempt to isolate ethanol in its purest, most hydration-like form. While it can be distilled from virtually anything that ferments, including grapes, whey, quinoa, and the traditional staples of potatoes, rye, and wheat, the raw material is often rendered invisible by the process. The goal of a master vodka distiller is subtraction. They are sculptors of liquid, chipping away every congener, every fusel oil, and every trace of organic impurity, until only the smooth, clean heart of the spirit remains. This is achieved through continuous column distillation, a towering industrial process that strips the alcohol to a staggering 96% purity before it is cut with water. The result is a spirit that acts as a chameleon. It is the ultimate social butterfly of the liquor cabinet because it has no ego. It does not fight with the tartness of a lime, the sweetness of cranberry juice, or the savory kick of tomato juice. It exists to amplify the texture and alcohol content of a drink without altering its flavor profile, providing a crisp, oily mouthfeel that serves as the canvas upon which mixologists paint their masterpieces. If vodka is a blank canvas, gin is a Jackson Pollock painting, a vibrant, chaotic, and deliberate splash of botanical colors that refuses to be ignored. Gin is, in its most technical definition, a flavored vodka, but that description fails to capture its soul. To be legally classified as gin, the spirit must possess a predominant flavor of juniper berries, the small, piney cones of an evergreen shrub that give gin its signature Christmas tree aroma. However, the artistry of gin lies in what happens around that juniper core. Distillers treat the neutral base spirit not as an end product, but as a solvent for extracting essential oils from a vast library of botanicals. This bill of ingredients often reads like a medieval spice merchant's inventory. Coriander seeds for citrusy spice, angelica root for earthy musk, orris root to bind the aromas, dried citrus peels, cardamom, cassia bark, and licorice. Every brand of gin has a secret recipe, a unique thumbprint of flavors that makes one bottle taste like a walk through a pine forest and another like a spice market in Mumbai. Unlike the subtractive philosophy of vodka, gin is additive. It is an act of culinary composition where the distiller layers flavor upon flavor to create a complex narrative in the glass. When you drink gin, you are not just drinking alcohol, you are drinking the terroir of the ingredients and the creative vision of the maker. The ancestry of these two spirits further highlights their divergent paths, with vodka emerging from the cold necessity of the East and gin rising from the medicinal curiosity of the West. Vodka's origins are lost in the mists of history, claimed fiercely by both Russia and Poland, with the word itself likely deriving from the Slavic word voda, meaning water, a little water of life. For centuries in the Slavic belt, vodka was not a cocktail ingredient. It was food, it was currency, and it was a companion to a meal, consumed neat and ice cold to cut through the richness of pickled vegetables and fatty meats. It was a spirit of survival and solidarity. Gin, conversely, began its life in the laboratories of 16th-century Dutch pharmacists. It was originally called juniper, a malt wine infused with juniper for its supposed diuretic and kidney-cleansing properties. It was liquid courage for soldiers during the 30 Years' War before traveling across the Channel to England. There, it sparked the infamous gin craze of the 18th century, a period of social upheaval where cheap, unregulated gin flooded the streets of London, earning the nickname Mother's Ruin. It took acts of parliament and a shift toward higher quality production to rehabilitate gin's image from a gutter spirit to the refined drink of the British officer class, eventually becoming the symbol of sophistication we know today. The divergence in their history naturally dictated their evolution within the world of mixology, creating two distinct schools of cocktail crafting. Vodka's ascent in the Western world is a relatively recent phenomenon, exploding in the mid-20th century largely due to clever marketing that pitched it as the white whiskey that would leave you breathless, meaning it wouldn't leave the smell of alcohol on your breath during a business lunch. This quality made it the darling of the disco era and the backbone of modern mixology. Because it lacks a strong flavor profile, vodka allows for drinks that don't taste like alcohol, opening the door for the screwdriver, the Moscow Mule, and the Cosmopolitan. It is the democratizer of drinking, inviting those who dislike the burn or taste of spirits to still participate in the ritual of a cocktail. It allows the freshness of the fruit or the spice of the ginger beer to take center stage, providing structure without imposing flavor. A vodka cocktail is often about the mixer. The spirit is merely the engine that makes it run. Gin, however, demands a partner, not a mask. It is the structural steel of the classic cocktail age, the foundation upon which the golden age of mixology was built in the late 1800s and early 1900s. You cannot hide gin, you can only complement it. In a gin and tonic, the quinine in the tonic water latches onto the alpha-pinene molecules in the juniper, creating a chemical reaction that is greater than the sum of its parts. In a Negroni, the gin needs to be robust enough to stand up to the aggressive bitterness of Campari and the herbal sweetness of vermouth. If you swapped vodka into a Negroni, the drink would collapse into a sugary, bitter mess because it lacks the botanical bridge that gin provides. The resurgence of craft cocktails in the 21st century has been a renaissance for gin because modern bartenders treat it like a spice rack. They choose a specific gin with cucumber notes for a summer cooler, or a gin with heavy spice notes for a winter warmer. While vodka offers consistency, gin offers endless variability, challenging the drinker to explore the nuance of each specific bottle. Perhaps the most famous battleground for these two spirits is the martini, a drink that serves as the ultimate litmus test for a drinker's preference. A traditionalist will argue that a martini is made with gin and vermouth, period. In this version, the drink is a celebration of aromatics. The vermouth interacts with the botanicals of the gin to create a savory floral bouquet that evolves as the drink warms up. It is a contemplative drink, one that engages the nose as much as the tongue. Enter James Bond and the rise of the vodka martini. By swapping out the gin, the drink transforms into something entirely different, cold, crisp, and piercingly clean. A vodka martini is about texture and temperature. It highlights the viscosity of the freezing cold spirit and the simple salinity of the olive garnish. It is less about flavor complexity and more about the visceral sensation of icy purity. The choice between the two is not just a matter of taste, it is a matter of mood. Do you want the comfort of a complex, herbal embrace, or do you want the sharp, invigorating slap of cold steel? Socially, the two spirits occupy different territories in the cultural imagination, driven by how they are marketed and consumed. Vodka is the universal soldier. It is the bottle you buy for a wedding, a frat party, or a high-end bottle service table in a Las Vegas nightclub. It is marketed on prestige, purity, and lifestyle. Think of the frosted glass bottles and the diamond-filtered claims. It is seen as a premium commodity, a luxury item defined by how smooth and imperceptible it is. Gin, on the other hand, has fostered a culture of geekery and craftsmanship similar to the craft beer or wine movements. The gin renaissance has seen small batch distilleries popping up in every corner of the globe, from the Scottish Highlands to the Amazon rainforest, each using local plants to create a spirit that captures a sense of place. Gin drinkers often identify as enthusiasts. They attend tastings, they care about the specific blend of botanicals, and they discuss the finish of the spirit. While vodka is often consumed to facilitate a social situation, gin is often the subject of the conversation itself. The production nuances further separate the two, specifically in the post-distillation phase where the spirits truly find their identities. Vodka's journey usually ends after the column still and the filtration process. Producers might filter it through charcoal, quartz crystals, or even diamond dust, but the intention is always to polish, to remove. Some premium vodkas purposely leave a little bit of character from the rye or potato to give it a creamy weight, but they are the exception. Gin production is a second act. The neutral spirit is placed back into a pot still, a copper vessel that, unlike the column still, is designed to retain heavy, oily flavors. The botanicals are either macerated, soaked, in the alcohol, like tea leaves, or placed in a basket in the neck of the still for vapor infusion. As the alcohol boils, the vapors rise and pass through this basket, gently steaming the flavor out of the herbs and spices. This delicate process captures the volatile oils that give gin its aroma. It is a risky process. Boil it too hard and you get cooked, stewed flavors. Too gentle and the spirit is weak. This high-wire act of redistillation is where the master distiller earns their title. When we consider the strength and physiological experience, there is a fascinating psychological trick at play. Both vodka and gin are typically bottled at 40% ABV, 80 proof, yet they hit the palate differently. Vodka, due to its lack of congeners and oils, evaporates quickly on the tongue, providing that characteristic clean finish or burn depending on the quality. It feels lighter, more ethereal. Gin feels heavier. The oils from the juniper and citrus peels add physical weight and viscosity to the liquid, coating the tongue and lingering long after the swallow. This lingering finish is why gin is often sipped more slowly. The brain registers the complexity and the oily texture as substance, whereas vodka's quick evaporation can trick the drinker into thinking they are consuming something lighter than they actually are. This difference in perception dictates the pacing of the night. Vodka is often the fuel for a fast-paced evening, while gin is the accompaniment to a slow, unfolding engagement. Ultimately, the rivalry between vodka and gin is a false dichotomy, for they represent two necessary sides of the human experience: the desire for purity and the desire for complexity. Vodka is the minimalist architecture of the spirit world, modern, sleek, functional, and beautiful in its austerity. It allows you to project your own desires onto it, to mix it into whatever shape you require for the moment. Gin is the Baroque cathedral, ornate, filled with history, detail, and specific intention. It asks you to stop and look, to appreciate the craftsmanship and the weird, wonderful combination of roots and berries that shouldn't work together but do. Whether you reach for the bottle with the clean silver label or the one adorned with botanical illustrations depends on what you are seeking in that glass. Are you looking to clear your mind with the cold simplicity of the water of life? Or are you looking to stimulate your senses with the aromatic alchemy of the apothecary? The beauty of the modern liquor cabinet is that you don't have to choose a side permanently. There is a perfect moment for the silent strength of vodka, and there is a perfect moment for the singing voice of gin. Thank you for watching this exploration into the spirits that define our evenings. If you have a specific topic or a rivalry between other everyday items you'd like us to dissect, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. We read every single one and love building our content around your curiosity. If you found value in this deep dive, consider checking out our other channels where we explore everything from culinary history to engineering marvels.